Hello friends, Hansen here. Welcome back to INT Media Video Games Analysis YouTube channel. Hope everyone's doing good out there, and I hope that this video finds you, yes, you, in a happy place. Alright fellas, so as of the time of recording this video, 31 July 2023 to be exact, we're about a month and a half away from the Starfield Direct. Starfield being, of course, the upcoming gargantuan RPG in size and ambition from Bethesda Game Studios, the creators of the Elder Scrolls series and the controversial current stewards of the Fallout IP. Based off of what was in the Direct, one thing is for sure, this game is a complete behemoth, and furthermore, Starfield looks to be the game that gamers have always wanted, a game where you can literally traverse outer space in your own spaceship, be who you want, do what you want, treat people how you want, and go where you want, as our boy God Powered always says. However, and that is a pretty poignant comma, my friends, it's coming from Bethesda Game Studios, who, if we're being honest and we're being objective, which is always the goal of this channel, has made some pretty controversial decisions in the previous decade, and it's also being published by Xbox, who as of recently has not always put their best foot forward in terms of being makers of games, especially when it comes to games from the Bethesda pipeline. So today, I think I'd like to talk about the promise of Starfield rather than the hype of Starfield. I don't know if that makes sense, but what I'd like to look at is what the game is promising to do, and based off of what we've seen, the kind of hope that it seems that we have as a community for it being the game that we all want, rather than trying to hype it up and blow it out of proportion, kind of what happened with Fallout 4 back in the day, because if you'll remember, the hype train for Fallout 4 was out of control. I fell victim to that in some ways, but that's a topic for another time. I'd like to today just really analyze the current state of Starfield, as we're about a month and a half from release, and I'd like to take a second, see where we're at, see what the game is promising to do, see the promises that developers have made, and also highlight some, what I would feel to be some valid concerns that I have as a lifelong Bethesda fan, and as a games analyst. I would like to not burst anyone's bubble necessarily, but rather cage everyone's expectations, because while I do think that Starfield looks, sounds, and appears to be incredible, and I also want to highlight the fact that I genuinely can't wait to play it, and whatever precursory critiques I may throw its way in this video, just please remember that Starfield is a game that I've been waiting to play for a very, very long time, and frankly, it's a game that gamers and nerds alike have been waiting for all of nerd history, essentially. But with all this being said, it's a video game. And the most important thing to remember about a game is how it plays, and in all honesty, we don't yet know how it plays. We've seen a very long demonstration from this game. We saw a 45-minute gameplay demo where we got a very good idea of what the game promises, right? Of what it says it can do. And frankly, it's promising to do amazing things. And I'd like to zoom out a little bit. And I have a bit of a prepared statement here that I would like to read. And I want us all to just kind of wrap our brains around this, because Starfield is promising to do crazy shit. And I want everyone to realize how crazy a lot of these things actually sound. And if the game manages to pull these things off, it's going to be revolutionary. But I'd like to just take a second, read this, and then we'll come back. So, Starfield has over 1,000 worlds that you can go and explore. According to Todd Howard, some planets will be mostly barren resource planets, and a majority of them will have areas that you can go explore, quest, gain experience, find loot, and fight enemies. All these planets have different levels of gravity. Additionally, it has more traditional, hardcore RPG elements that Bethesda Game Studios was made famous for. Starfield has skill checks, character backgrounds that impact the story and role-playing of the game, and skill-based minigames such as lockpicking and a brand new persuasion minigame that looks cool. On top of this, it features a robust spaceship combat system, an evolution of settlement building from Fallout 4 and 76, which allows you to create your own meaningful locations, and it has a swath of interesting characters that seem intriguing. It even has a jetpack that you could use to fly around outer space. Furthermore, you could board enemy ships and take control of them, and if you're shooting a gun that fires bullets in the vacuum of space, it will knock you back through the vacuum of space. And you can also use the Force, apparently, as what was indicated by the end of that gameplay demo. So I hope that in reading that you get excited, as if you love video games, there is no reason why this shouldn't pique your interest as something that sounds exciting and cool, because no game has ever tried to do. Many games have incorporated these individual systems and elements into their games, but we have yet to see a game that combines all of these things and turns it into a cogent gameplay experience that's good. We have yet to see that. The game that comes closest that we might see is something else from Bethesda Game Studios, like Fallout 4 or Skyrim, and certain, gameplay elements here. Or we could see it in something like No Man's Sky, but that was really that's a very controversial game that I don't really want to get into here. But based off of what I've described so far, this sounds like a complete dream game, right? This sounds like the game that nerds such as myself have been dreaming of for years, a blending of Star Wars sci-fi, cyberpunk elements, space exploration, and it's dubbed with this new theme of NASA punk, as Bethesda has described. So all in all, the way that I would describe Starfield is promising. It promises to do amazing things, and it gives us a lot of hope as people that love video games. Here's the thing, fellas. Gamers are quick to forget, gamers love to talk, and gamers are always looking to the next big thing. Starfield looks, sounds, and appears to be incredible, but I'd encourage you to not forget who is developing and selling you the game. Bethesda Game Studios is sort of like that jackass, hilarious, and heart of gold friend that we all have in our lives. They're unreliable and take advantage of you at times, but man, they're the best, right? They always make up for being who they are by being who they are. And while they piss us off, we love them. We love them a lot. They have a historic track record of making incredible games, including Fallout 3, which is one of my favorite games ever made. And they also made The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, the game that has been ported to the subsequent 2 generations that follow the generation it launched in, because it's that good and it sells that well, and people continue to buy it, regardless of the fact that they probably own it on like 3 other platforms, and are never going to complete the game ever again. And they've also not been on their high horse in the past couple of years, and that's just a fact. Fallout 4 is unquestionably a very good game, no doubt, but it wasn't the next-gen Fallout RPG that we all wanted and had in mind. It was more of an immersive sim action game with robust open-world elements and really quite deep shooting elements that we hadn't seen yet from Bethesda Game Studios. But the game's DLC was notoriously bad, apart from Far Harbor, which brought back many of the Fallout RPG elements that we all know and love, as well as Nuka World, which actually allowed you to be the bad guy. Fallout 4 was criticized for not really giving players this option in the vanilla version of the game to be kind of the evil character, to be the bad guy. After Fallout 4, Bethesda Game Studios released Fallout 76 in 2017, which was complete dog shit at launch. It has since been improved, and tons of people now love it, but again, gamers are quick to forget that Bethesda Game Studios willingly sold us that game, knowing that it was, in fact, a flaming rubber tire hurtling into the unknown. On top of this, the collector's edition of 76 was despicable, with the infamous canvas bag fiasco to point to here. This needs to be restated. They willingly sold you Fallout 76 at launch. I'm showing you gameplay right now. They sold you that for $60. You need to conceptualize that if that doesn't really make a big impact on you. Now let me remind you, I think Starfield looks awesome, and I genuinely and authentically assess that it will be a great game. However, I say the aforementioned information to point out that we're talking about Bethesda Game Studios, and when we're talking about them, we should really be in a posture of, I'm excited, but you have a lot to prove, rather than take my money, Gotti Toddy. Or, oh, Bethesda, they're the GOAT of Western RPGs. It'll be fine, Hansen, you fucking idiot. And granted, I will say, Bethesda has done a lot between Fallout 4 and 76 to put the Fallout IP in a lowly place, which is a shame because Fallout is one of the most brilliant and wonderful fictional intellectual properties that has ever been invented. And this leads fans, including myself, to doubt if Bethesda even understands what Fallout is and what's great about it. They clearly don't understand the icon of the Vault Boy, for instance, as they utilized him to promote American capitalism and consumerist spending by using him as some sort of marketing device to promote consumerist spending in Fallout 76 and Fallout Shelter, when in reality, Vault Boy was created to lampoon and take the piss out of these ideals to begin with from a narrative perspective. And just to pivot here, Xbox has a lot to prove as well. I know we're all tired of hearing about this, but they launched Redfall not that long ago, which is one of the worst reviewed games of this year. There's been a lot of Spider-Man meme finger-pointing as to who was to blame here between Matt Booty, Xbox's own internal communication pipelines with Bethesda, Arcane and Harvey Smith's team over there, and Phil Spencer. But at the end of the day, they did what they did. They released that game, and their reputation as a first party was at an all-time low because of it. This has since been kind of inflated a little bit by that gameplay presentation that they did with the Xbox Game Showcase, which dovetailed off of the Starfield gameplay direct I talked about earlier. I'm a little sick of people being quick to forgive and quick to forget. This mega corporation that has fucking ungodly amounts of money, and just kind of letting them off the hook because they showed some cool stuff. I thought the presentation was like good, but it wasn't great, and like those are just promises, man. Like they're not they're designed to get you excited, and they're designed to get you to want to spend money in the future on their shit. Like they're not giving you anything. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, Xbox is not even in much of a better position than they were when they released Redfall earlier this year. They may have closed the deal on the Activision Blizzard King merger, but they've only shown that as they acquire more studios and garner more responsibility, they've only shown that they're gonna fuck that shit up. So I don't really know why we should be excited, if I'm being totally frank. And as evidence for this, all you need to do is look at Redfall. Redfall is the first incubated project from the Bethesda acquisition that we got from Microsoft. That game was terrible. That should be seen as Xbox's, for all intensive purposes, their best foot forward. They have everything to prove as far as it goes as a first-party publisher of games, in my opinion. And so I look, Starfield, can't wait, dude. I'm there day one. I'm probably not even gonna subscribe to Game Pass to play the game. I'm probably gonna buy the game because I know how much I'm gonna play it. And I hope I know how much I'm gonna love it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have your arms crossed, I want to know why. Because we haven't been shown, we don't know what a game is ever until we have it in our hands and we can play it and we can sink our teeth into it. That is the beauty of our medium. That is the beauty of video games, is that you can spend so much time with them and get immersed in them, and you don't really understand them until you spent probably upwards of 2 or 3 days with them. And I'm talking gameplay time, man. I'm not talking like sitting down on the couch at night and just kind of, hanging out for 3 hours playing a little Starfield. I'm talking like, you oftentimes don't know what a game is until you've played 50 hours of it. And so if you don't have your arms crossed, I want to know why. Starfield looks promising. It is arguably the most promising game I have ever seen in my life. But let's just manage our expectations here, boys. Let's keep it in check, Let's not fly off the handle. Like we gotta be, as gamers and as consumerists and as customers, we gotta hold ourselves to a bit of a higher standard here when it comes to this perpetual hype train that is always present in the video game industry and from gamers. It gets to be a self-fulfilling prophecy to a certain point. And just remember, if you want great games, you have to make companies, and you have to make developers, and you have to make publishers give you those great games. And the only way to do that is to manage expectations, is to speak with your wallet, and to communicate up what the problems are with the game. Otherwise, if you just give these people money, look, this is the example I always go back to, the one-man army noob tube problem in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. That shit broke multiplayer. It broke multiplayer in that game. And they never fixed it. The reason why they never fixed it is because Modern Warfare 2 at the time was the best selling Call of Duty game that they had ever made. That's the only language they speak, fellas. So I'm gonna get off the soapbox now. I'm excited for Starfield. I can't wait to play Starfield. I think it's gonna be dope. But let's just keep it in check a little bit, okay, boy? This is Hansen with INT Media, out.